So the question is simply this: will America be a temporary experiment in human history, a brief moment where freedom for the individual, enjoyed by relatively few people in human history, before it returns to some brutal feudal system where individual freedom is lost to a world government with complete control? It will take something more than political posturing. Charlie understood something fundamental. Without faith, freedom becomes fragile. Our roots must be rooted in something higher than government. And he warned us, a civilization that abandons God will deteriorate and ultimately collapse from the inside out.
Yeah, so my take on this is probably pretty profound. And of all the people I hear talking at events like this and publicly, politically, doesn't seem like many people think the way that I do on this. So I'm an atheist. And I'm an atheist because I'm a scientist. And logically, you can prove that all of the man-made religions are wrong. They're flawed. Their arguments don't hold water. The man-made religions claim to be able to prove that their God exists and that their belief system is true. And none of them achieve that. None of them accomplish that. So I can't believe in any of the man-made religions. And if all the man-made religions are false, in that they cannot prove themselves logically, physically, scientifically, in any manner, then if there is a supernatural power, it is not something that any human beings up to this point have understood. And that's the trajectory of agnosticism, typically, where somebody leaves open the question of a supernatural power. Personally, I don't, and that's why I'm an atheist, because I look at the universe and what we know about the universe, what we've been able to prove about the universe and physical reality, and I don't see through the laws of physics and quantum mechanics and all the scientific knowledge that we have accumulated up to this point in our evolution, I don't see any possibility for a supernatural power, a cognitive, conscious supernatural power to exist. We understand and we can prove. There's theories of things we don't know 100% yet, but there are things that we can prove 100%, because we can replicate experiments and come to the same conclusion year after year, decade after decade, century after century. And that proves empirically that within the physical world, and within existence as we can see and measure it, there is no space, there is no room, there is no hiding hole that a supernatural power could possibly exist. And when I say supernatural power, I obviously mean something that has supernatural abilities, like a god. So that is why science, up to the stage that we are at now in human evolution, has technically, literally, proven that God does not exist, because we define God as a supernatural force, a cognitive, conscious, supernatural force. There is no such thing. I know that. Many other human beings know that. And so, without going into the theological question here, what did he just say? He said that our society cannot exist without a belief in something higher than government. Now, I agree with him on that, but I don't believe it's God. I don't believe it's a man-made religion that we need to follow or believe in. which doesn't exist, obviously, so why would you believe in it? Why would you put all your eggs in a basket of something that doesn't even exist? That was made by men, and the rules and the systems and the beliefs and the worldview and the morality was made by men. It's not divine. So that entire synopsis is completely flawed as well. But I do agree with him when he says that in order for a society to succeed, people need to believe in something higher than the government that runs it. But I don't replace that something higher with some man-made religion. Faith in something that doesn't exist. Adopting a belief system and a moral system that was created by man thousands of years ago. In my mind, that something higher is, first of all, life itself. That is my number one thing that is higher above all things, life itself. Life exists, life is amazing. We are alive, and I believe as living creatures, we should hold life itself, the existence and the fulfillment and the health and the well-being of life itself, as the number one highest thing. And you can extrapolate from that downwards to become more specific. If life itself is the most important thing, human life is also very important, obviously, not only because we are part of life, but because we have power over much of life on this planet, which is the only planet where life exists as far as we know so far. And so that responsibility can extend further down into, let us govern and let us create a civilization where life can flourish. Let us create a civilization and a condition for life so that it is healthy and has well-being and is happy and prosperous. And you can extrapolate that down further to systems of governing and systems of equality and fairness for all life. And then focusing more on human life, we can continue to extrapolate that to having governance, having government, having a civilization that understands that we come from life as the thing that is higher than any man-made government, any man-made government system, any man-made socioeconomic system. But that those governing systems, those socioeconomic systems, must serve the well-being and the prosperity of life, even if we're just talking about human life right now, to make it more simple. And because once again, you know, if humans are not doing well, then the rest of life on planet Earth is not going to do well either. It's that kind of caveat where you're on an airplane and it loses cabin pressure and the air masks fall down and you have 2 children. The instructions for the proper way of handling that situation is to put the air mask on yourself first before you do your children, because how are you going to be able to help your children if you can't breathe? So we need to help ourselves so that we can help life on Earth. So that's simple enough of an analogy to continue down this thought process. And that's something higher that he speaks of. I think it's selling ourselves short by simply saying that we need to believe in some man-made God or man-made faith system. But as he said this, for me, I understand this. This is the way I think. This is what forms my worldview. It has for 2-3 decades now. And I reevaluate what is best for us humans, and therefore best for our ability to manage and govern our societies, which therefore manage and govern the life within our societies on the territories that we govern them. and hopefully on Earth itself, as extension. But as he was saying this, I just thought, it's a pity that people fall back to man-made religions of thousands of years ago rather than being more evolved to be able to understand that we don't need the religions. What we need is a belief in something higher, a dedication to something higher. But if that belief and that dedication is put on some man-made faith, we are really selling ourselves short, and that's not going to do the job either. There's been plenty and plenty of empires that have fallen from within that were still very faith-based. All of them, in fact, all empires have fallen despite being dedicated to a faith of one taste or another. So Judeo-Christian faith is no different. It's not any different or superior to previous faiths like the Hellenic system of the Greeks and the Romans. They were completely committed to that, and their empire still fell. The Zoroastrian faith of the Persian Empire still fell. And throughout all of history, we can give example after example. So I don't think it's that. I think it is. We need more people that I think maybe think the way I do, or think of something similar that transcends nation state, that transcends tribe, that transcends your ethnicity. It goes higher and envelops all of us. But for the time being, we're not quite there yet as human beings. So the nation state should be one of those things that we hold up there. The nation state itself, the civilization itself, it's sort of like layers. You can have life at the top, the civilization that we all agree on. Under that, the nation states that follow that civilization. Under that, I think those three layers are extrapolation enough that those should be what we value and hold higher than our temporary form of government for the next 4 years or 8 years or 20 years. The continuation of our civilization and the advancement and evolution of it should be and can be something that we hold higher in this sense. And yeah, as he was saying this, I thought to myself, maybe a lot of people just don't get this, and maybe probably a lot of people aren't even ready to understand this, which is sad to me, obviously. But yeah, that's why I wanted to record this and give my thoughts on it, because I think, at least for me, it's fairly easy to love the United States as a country, as a nation that holds the cornerstone of Western civilization, because I hold Western civilization as the cornerstone of what is best for humanity, because what is best for humanity in our governance and our societies is best for life on planet Earth. So these are all completely linearly connected things that make sense from top down. And it has nothing to do with faith. And for me, I feel like somebody that 100% would always do what is best for life, and beneath that, Western civilization, and beneath that, United States, because these are all connected things, linearly connected things, and any other country that is also part of Western civilization, I would also fully support, because they are part of the same umbrella. They are under the umbrella of Western civilization. But being that America is the, now, it used to be England, Britain, but that country's completely gone. It is America that is the cornerstone of Western civilization. And I say that as somebody of 44 years who has lived in 16 countries, half of them roughly Western civilized countries, half of them third world and not Western countries. And I have seen with my own hands and eyes and feet exactly the difference between civilizations on Earth. And I know what is best, what is better. Not in its entirety, not absolutely. There are elements of other societies that have done things better in certain small ways, but overarchingly, Western civilization has no comparison on Earth, and nothing in our past can compare to it either. It is the best that we humans have created in the year 2025. There is no second place in that comparison. So, holding Western civilization as the future, the present and the future of mankind. And I'm not saying that it won't change in the future. It could be something completely different. It could be a shift towards another kind of civilization, sure. But Western civilization is our evolution towards the future. If we want it to be a good future. And so supporting that ideal and that concept and that value system is, for me, that which is higher than government. And hopefully there's people like me out there, because if there's not, then it scares me that if people don't understand that, then what are they really going to stand up for? Are they only going to stand up for their faith? Well, then we're heading backwards into a tribalistic scenario again, and we're already becoming too tribal. And Western civilization is about breaking away the tribe. It is about uniting the tribes. And if we go back in his speech a little bit here, he was talking about this tribalism in Rome. So I'll let him speak, and this gives a good example to what I'm trying to elaborate on.
I'll tell you a story, a turning point between the old pagan Rome and the Christian one. In 404 AD, the Roman Colosseum was the center of entertainment. Emperors used blood sports to distract the populations by giving them what they wanted, entertainment, having them watch gladiators tear each other apart in the sand. The crowds loved it. They cheered for death. They had no empathy for the men bleeding out in front of them. These men weren't in their tribe. They were the enemy. During these bloody games, a monk named Telemachus jumped into the arena. He stood between the fighters and shouted, "Stop! In the name of Christ, stop this!" And the crowd killed him. They stoned him to death right there. But his death shocked the emperor, and it shocked the people. They finally saw the horror of what they'd been cheering for. That was the last day of the games. Telemachus was a turning point. But here's what really ended that day. Not just the spectacle, but what the spectacle was covering up. The Romans finally saw what they'd been doing, filling an emptiness inside themselves with blood and violence. Once they saw it, they couldn't unsee it. Their culture had a void, and they tried to fill it with games, with spectacle. with watching each other tear each other apart. 1,600 years later, we'd like to think we've evolved. We'd like to think we're more civilized than the Romans who cheered for blood in the sand. But here's the truth. We haven't changed at all. Our Colosseum is Twitter. It's Facebook. It's cable news. It's social media. And when Charlie Kirk was murdered in the bright light of that Utah afternoon, there were people that celebrated. There were people that laughed. They posted jokes. Some, to this day, even say he deserved it. Boo is right. When someone not in your tribe, you have no empathy. There's no sympathy. You can even celebrate their murder. Our culture has become tribal.
Well, I think I'm going to end there. I think that put the point home. And hopefully my point will resonate with some people. And if your fallback is Christianity or Hinduism or Judaism or Buddhism or, not Islam, obviously. But if it is any faith that is compatible and part of Western civilization, then that's fine with me. But I believe that anyone whose fallback, whose higher purpose beyond the nation state or the governing body or the government, if your fallback, if your higher purpose is your faith, I don't think you understand what the nation state, what the government is an element of, which is Western civilization. I don't think you understand that it is Western civilization as the best model that we currently have on Earth for the betterment of humanity, and therefore the betterment of humans to be able to govern the planet, and therefore govern life on this planet. And it's not to say that that is, like I said, it's not to say that that is the final. Of course, it's not the final. It's not the final form. There is no final form. It will continually evolve. In the future, it will be something different. But that something different that is guaranteed to be in the future could be much worse, or it could be much better than what we currently have. And if we want it to be much better, if we want to continue to get better, to be better, then we have to embrace the good parts of what we have, the foundations that the values and the foundations that they lay out for us, and improve upon them. If we allow extremists and crazies to hijack that narrative, which is exactly what has happened on the left in the United States. The loud minority has hijacked the Democratic Party. The crazies have hijacked the Democratic Party. The extremists have hijacked the Democratic Party. And they are so crazy and extremist that they don't even represent the mainstream views of mainstream Democrats and mainstream leftists. In fact, for real far leftists like myself, they are literally opposite. They're antithetical to how we want to evolve society to make it better. And the thing is that right and left doesn't matter. When you hold your higher value as Western civilization itself, you understand that the left and the right are part of the same thing. Western civilization cannot exist without the left and the right. And as a leftist, I value my brothers on the right the exact same as I would value my brother or sister on the left, because they are just as important. They are just as necessary. They're just as valuable and meaningful to the whole, which is Western civilization. There is no difference. Zero. In fact, if anything, I would value them more because they provide the argument to my values. They provide the stimulus to make me analyze and continually, constantly, forever reassess and reassert my values, to check and balance my values. That is more valuable for Western civilization than someone in my own boat who has the same views as me. An echo chamber with 1,000 or 1,000,000 of my own compatriots is of no worth in the philosophical debate of how to evolve and how to cherish what we have and make it better. What are we going to do? Sit there and agree with each other all day? So my brothers and sisters on the right are, if anything, more cherished, more loved, because they are different, but because we both hold the same thing as that higher purpose, that higher value, and we disagree on how to get there. And that debate is what pushes us forward and makes us evolve. So that cannot be replaced with any faith. What I've just described is not something that one faith or another faith, any faith, can provide in that arena, in that discussion, in that struggle for betterment. So I'll leave it there, and I'll put the link to this because Rob Schneider here made an excellent speech, and I think that everyone should watch the entirety of it. And I'm going to continue watching the last few minutes of it, which I haven't even watched yet, and probably going to rewind and watch the whole thing all over again, because it's thought-provoking, and it is a very, very good speech. And it transcends left or right. It doesn't matter what your politics are. His message is excellent for all of us. All right. Thank you.